Benvenuti a tutti, and welcome to another edition of Italian America Long Island. My name is Dave Anthony Sottoducati. Today we're going to have Member Profiles, show number 3. We're going to meet some more wonderful members of the Sellaro Lodge. First, we're going to speak with Geraldine Ionello Graham. Gerri's devotion, dedication, and generosity has made the Lodge what it is today. Then we're going to speak with Jim Marzligliano, another very generous member of our Lodge, whose contributions are immense. Then we're going to meet with some of the 2017 scholarship winners from the Sellaro Lodge. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Ionello Graham, and I have been a member of the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge for approximately 13 years. My grandparents emigrated to this country from Maraneo in the province of Palermo. My mother's parents came in 1913, 6 months apart. My grandfather came first, and then my grandmother followed with my youngest Aunt Josie, who was 1 year old. My father's parents emigrated sooner than that. They were already here in 1910 because my father was born in this country, although he was raised in Italy. By the time he came back, he could not speak a word of English. My grandmother was a very interesting person, my grandmother Giuseppa. She was a fierce woman, very, I'd say, pig-headed, and she ruled the roost, let's put it that way. She did not like the noise and the quality of life that she had living in Little Italy, New York City. She was accustomed to a more quiet environment. She wanted to go back to Italy. My grandfather was a merchant, so he traveled back and forth from Italy, and she decided to go back to Italy with the children, and that's where she stayed until my father was a teenager and they returned to the United States. So he was well into his teens when they came back, and she returned with him and with his 3 siblings. My grandmother decided that it was time to come to the U.S. She was willing, it was after the war, and she was willing to come back. However, she said she did not want to live in Little Italy. She wanted a more countrified environment. So they ended up buying a house in Bedford-Stuyvesant. Now, one would laugh when you hear that now, based on what the place looks like now. But at that period of time, remember, 1922, Brooklyn was pretty countrified. She was very happy living there, and they lived there in that house until each of them passed away. The traditions that I remember most significantly all surrounded the preparation of food and the extent of which family was welcomed into the home. St. Joseph's Day was a very, very important holiday. My grandmother celebrated that holiday by inviting people to dinner. Her door was always open. Anybody who wanted to have something to eat on St. Joseph's Day was welcome to come to the banquet. There were people that came, and honestly, until I was an adult, I did not realize that these people were not related to me. They were friends, they were neighbors, anybody could come to eat. And the foods that she makes, she was a marvelous cook. The things that she made were probably unbelievable to most people, the bounty on that table. She would have stuffed artichokes that were to die for. Her pasta con sarde, that was a masterpiece, of course, St. Joseph's Day. My father's name was St. Joseph. You might ask, well, why did she make this celebration? He was a Joseph. I don't ever recall celebrating his birthday with as much celebration as she celebrated St. Joseph's Day. And that's one tradition that I still maintain. Although the children, my grandchildren certainly do not eat pasta con sarde, I have developed a taste for it. Now that would probably really surprise my mother because she always made something different for me. I did not even like the smell, but now I just love it, and I enjoy making it for those people who do enjoy it as much as I do. You talk about 7 fishes on Christmas Eve. Well, there were at least 7. And of course, the traditions have been watered down to some extent because bacala is not something people are just craving for. So we tend to make the more traditional fishes, but we still maintain a meatless Christmas Eve. Easter was another big holiday. My father would make a production of going to Ferrara's in Little Italy on the day before Easter. He would take 2 trains to get there so that he could buy my sister and myself marzipan lambs. They were just absolutely beautiful. And of course, the Easter eggs that were made of sugar that had the beautiful panorama views on the inside of them. These are things that my sister and I remember. They're more precious than any other gift he could have given us, those lambs. All Souls Day, we had to have croce di morte. Now these are cookies that would break your teeth. They were very, very hard, had an egg white sort of shell on top of the cookie itself. But what, my goodness gracious, you needed to watch your teeth with those. So little things that surrounded food, and of course the family. My grandmother was very family oriented. She loved having her children and her grandchildren around her, and there was really nothing that she wouldn't do for us. Santa Lucia, La Festa de Santa Lucia, that was another holiday that we celebrated in a different way, not so much with festivities, but because my maternal grandmother, Francesca, had a devotion to St. Lucy, none of us ate bread or anything made with wheat. There was a special dish that they made, and that's what we had. We just eliminated that product from our diet for that day. Of course, we went to Mass as well, but I still maintain that tradition, and so does my sister. My first involvement with the Sons of Italy, and in particular the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge, came about due to a project that I was working on at my job. I was a human resources manager, and my colleague and I thought it would be nice to celebrate as many ethnicities as we could throughout the year. Of course, we celebrated Black History Month, and we celebrated St. Patrick's Day in March. And then we thought, okay, let's celebrate Italian heritage, which we did in October. We spent about 2 months during the summer preparing information from websites and all types of, collecting types of recipes. The one thing that we were missing were pictures. I happened to see an ad for an Italian heritage presentation that was being held in the Smithtown Library by the Sons of Italy, the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge. I attended it and saw some wonderful people there who were so willing to help me gather the information I needed. We had a wonderful presentation at work, and then I joined the lodge. And that was my first interaction with the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge. I think my greatest benefit from being a member of the lodge is interacting with people who have similar backgrounds to myself. Sometimes when I hear them talking about how they grew up, it's almost as if I could interchange my name for theirs. There's just so much the same, so much sameness, and so much of it that has dwindled, that there is a sense of camaraderie and a sense of joining and a cohesiveness in being with people with whom you can relate. I love being the chair of Carnevale. That's one of my favorites because it presents a segment of Italian culture that's really a lot of fun. I love working with Rocco Locasano on St. Joseph's Day, for obvious reasons. I also enjoy chairing Italian Heritage Month in the library. You make so many friends, and you learn so much about other groups of Italians. I mean, you think everybody's the same. We're not. We're very different. Regions are different. Folklore is different. The customs that people adhere to are different. So it's really a learning and a growth process. When I first joined the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge, I was pulled into the membership committee. So I've been a sentinel, mistress of ceremony, trustee, second vice president, first vice president, and then president. And currently I am a grand deputy to a sister lodge and a New York State trustee. I've been on the New York State Cultural Committee, which was responsible for creating the 20 regional dresses of Italy. And these are a masterpiece. They are really jewels, treasures that we now have to show how people dressed, not only for peasant attire, but also what the wealthy of people may have worn for festivals and for holidays. So I think that's how I would like to go with the Sons of Italy. Just continue to be involved, and certainly continue to be involved with the progress of my own lodge. And it's very important to continue this, because the Sons of Italy may be the one bastion of knowledge and Italian knowledge and heritage that we have, for people to go and to congregate and to find out more about their heritage. But we do raise money for our charities. Cooley's Anemia Foundation, Autism. We raise money for the Garibaldi Meucci Museum so that it can thrive and survive. The Commission for Social Justice. We raise money for the Guide Dog Foundation. It's the charitable component of it. It's also the camaraderie that we feel, the fraternalism. And there's also the historical and heritage component of it, because we do get an Italian newspaper every other month, Italian America. We get the Golden Lion, which is the state newspaper that tells us what's going on in the state, what it is people are doing. We have a wonderful scholarship program, not only for the state, but also from the Supreme Lodge in Washington, D.C., and our lodge as well. There are many reasons for people to join us. In addition to our fundraising activities, we have some activities that I think are a tremendous amount of fun. We have a variety show that goes on every year with wonderful, talented people in our lodge. It's incredible, and it's something that we have to fight people off because we run out of space. We also have a night at the races, which is a lot of fun, racing around on hobby horses as if we were children again. We have a trip to Arthur Avenue in September for Ferragosto, which is also enjoyable. There's free entertainment all day, as much wonderful food that you can eat on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. Those are the things I think that I find that provide me with the greatest amount of enjoyment and fun. I think all the years in the organization, both the Sons of Italy and of course the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge, has given me a sense of camaraderie and a sense of cohesiveness with those of other regions in Italy and those in other towns in Italy, but who share a common bond with me.
My name is James Marzligliano. They call me Ziggy. It's a lot easier to say. And I've been with the lodge for 8 years. Well, before I joined the lodge, I did some work for this lodge. I'm in the entertainment business, and I've done some work. And I said, this would be a really good thing to do, to join the lodge, because, I am Italian. I was brought up Italian. And I think it would be great to be with fellow Italians. Growing up Italian, every Sunday it would be the big meal, all right? And then after the big meal, we'd all sit around and we'd all get a chance to sing. I thought they did that in everybody's family, but they did it in, that's what the Italian people do. Like I said, I thought everybody did that, but it was the Italians. That's the way we were brought up. And joining the lodge and being with people that were brought up the same way kind of filled a void, because most of those people that I grew up with are not here. They moved on to that lodge in the sky. Well, at first, being new, I didn't know many people, and I made friends. I learned about being Italian. We were doing a street fair in St. James. And Tony Brennis and Ben Brennis came over, and they said, hey, listen, would you guys be interested in joining our lodge? I guess they found out what my real last name was, so they figured I was Italian, and they said, maybe we can use a guy like Ziggy and his wife to join the lodge, because they look like they have a lot to contribute. And those are the first people that I met, and they brought us in. The first people I became friendly was, of course, Tony and Ben Brennis. and then little by little, I made a lot of friends. It just mushroomed, and I got to be friends with everybody, and I told them what I did, and we took it to our advantage. I applied my talent to the lodge and dedicated it to the lodge. Actually, my wife was in the council before I was, and I was a little bit active. And then when I got a lot more DJ work from the lodge, I became very, very active. And I said, listen, I think it's time to step up and be more involved with the lodge. Well, first I was just a member, all right, and I was a trustee, and then I was well, I call it the sergeant of arms. That's what I was. And then I went to orator, and now I'm principal trustee. Kind of like staying behind the scenes as a support person. I figured was that I had a lot of good ideas. And having these good ideas, as a member, it might get lost. But if somebody on the council and being an officer, we could discuss it with a small group of people and apply different ideas, young ideas to the lodge. I've been singing as long as I've been able to walk. And a matter of fact, I was singing Italian songs. I didn't know any better. That's what I was taught. And I said, my upbringing in being Italian, this kind of would be perfect. It would be a perfect atmosphere to apply singing and performing. And like I said, I'm a DJ, so we apply that. I'm a character. All these things would be great to apply with the lodge. And I give a lot of time and effort to the lodge because I enjoy being with people that were brought up the same way I was brought up. And, like I said, my parents are deceased, my grandparents are deceased. My grandfather on my mother's side was from Italy. Okay, him and his brother came over here. They both were barbers, typical Italians, right? On a Sunday morning, from across the street when I lived on Long Island, I would always get up really, really early at 6 o'clock in the morning and go over to the house and steal meatballs because my grandfather would be frying them in the pan. All right, this is the way I thought every household was, and this was being brought up Italian. And once these people have left me, okay, now it was time, now I'm Americanized, you know what I mean? And I said, I got to get back to my roots. So there was like a void, okay, and a void in my life where I didn't have this anymore. We didn't have the spaghetti on Sunday. We were going to American steakhouses like Burger King, you know what I mean? We didn't have the good food that my grandmother and my mother made. And this is like a void, and I needed it filled. And this is the place to fill it, to be with my fellow people, fellow Italians. So my favorite activity would be with these shows that we produce. All right, we do a lot of shows, and we have a lot of talented people here, and I just like to be part of it. I'm happy that I can be. I can push my talents out there with everybody else, and we come up with a really good product. And we are really involved with our community here in Smithtown, and I would like to bring in more young people so we don't lose our Italian heritage. Join the lodge, and if you're creative, we can do a lot of things. We can do practically anything. All right, you got everybody here behind you. Join the lodge. You would have a really good time. You get to eat. That's the best part. Everybody makes such good food. It's so good. So I think that alone, the Italian food is just so good. I think that alone would bring the people in, and then everybody has a talent, whether they know it or not, and they can apply this with the lodge. And the more talents that we have here, we can be better and stronger. My father was stationed in Italy when he was in at the time of the Korean War. And they told him, when you go over there, try to look for your family. Right? Now, my father's mother and father are from the United States, but their parents were from Italy. So they said, when you get stationed over there, try to look for your family over there. All right? So he found one of the children from the family, and he went and bought him toys and gave him all these toys. Now, God, I didn't know, I wasn't born yet. I don't know this stuff. And what happened was, I maybe about, I don't know, when did I join the lodge? 8 years ago? About 8 years ago, or a little more, a little less, I get a request on Facebook from this kid who is now 67, 68 years old. My father gave him the toys when he was little. And he found me here in the United States. Now, I never met him. I speak to him online. When I do stuff, when I put out pictures on there from the lodge, I always get a like from him, right? And I think they own a restaurant over there. But, I mean, he's got to be near retirement age, but he told me the story. He said there was a picture, and he's going to look for it with my father in his uniform, all right, and him when he was a kid, because my father went and brought him toys. Who was to know? And he tells me this, like, first of all, you think, well, this can't be true. How did this guy find me? But he did. He did. And what he was telling me about my father was true. And I put two and two together. I called my cousin Teresa in Brooklyn, and I said, listen, look up these records. See if my father ever gave this. And he goes, oh, yeah, Vincenzo Pintrello, whatever his name was. And like, oh my God, this is a long time. And he found me here. I'm on Long Island, and he found me. It's amazing.
This is the best part. I love doing this. I love giving away money to our kids. So without further ado, our first recipient is Douglas Gordon. Please come forward, Douglas.
Hello, I'm Douglas Gordon. I'm one of the scholarship winners. I celebrate my Italian heritage by keeping my family ties together. Italians, they really celebrate their families, and by keeping our family together, it just shows how we stay true to our values. Whereas like my other side of the family, we're not Italian, and the family's not as tight as my Italian side. I would like to thank everyone in the Sons of Italy for awarding me this scholarship. I will be studying national security at the University of New Haven in Connecticut, which also has a campus in Prato, Italy. I hope to study a semester there and learn more about my Italian heritage.
Our next recipient is Gabriella Giordano, who is the recipient of the Dr. Vincenzo Sellaro Scholarship.
Hi, my name is Gabriella Giordano, and I'm a scholarship winner here. And I celebrate my Italian heritage, of course, by the food, but especially by hearing all the stories from my grandparents about their parents who came from Italy. And I really love it. I want to maintain my Italian heritage so that I have stories that I can then pass on maybe to my kids or my grandkids who don't know about where their ancestors came from like I do.
Yeah, I want to thank my grandparents, John and Christine Giordano, who are members here, and of course my parents, Mary and Frank Giordano, who helped me get here. I didn't have the opportunity to study Italian, but I actually took a trip there with my family in September and really loved it, and hope I get the opportunity to study abroad there.
Our next recipient is receiving the Betty Galeotto Award is Luke Eschbach.
My name is Luke Eschbach. I'm a scholarship winner here at Sons of Italy, and I'm very honored to win this scholarship because I love studying Italian. Since I was a little kid, my grandparents have taught me the values of what it's like to be Italian and the culture and the heritage. Ever since I was young, we've been doing all these different activities that I finally get to learn about in class, and it's pretty amazing being able to speak to my extended family, to my grandparents in Italian language, and I'm very excited here that after all this hard work, I finally paid off. I would just like to say how much of an honor it is to receive this award for Italian language and studies. Voglio dare un grande ringraziamento a mia nonna e mia nonna. Mi hanno insegnato la cultura italiana e tutti I suoi modi.
Lisa Acola, who is from Smithtown High School West.
Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm a winner of the Dante Medal from Smithtown High School West. I like to study Italian because it's a beautiful language, and my family has heritage from Italy, and it's really nice to learn about their background.
Grazie mille per questo premio. Vorrei ringraziare anche le mie professoresse, la signora Riccoboni e la signora Baricelli, per insegnarmi la lingua negli ultimi 3 anni.
Our next recipient from Smithtown High School East is Andrew Canino.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm the winner of the Dante Medal. I like studying Italian because I really like learning about my heritage and about like where my family came from and just the rich culture and history of Italy.
Vorrei ringraziare il dottore Vincenzo Sellaro Lodge numero 2319 e i figli d'Italia per mi conferire questa borsa di studio. Sono profondamente umiliato per essere stato selezionato per un tale onore.
Our next recipient is Carmelo Mattioli, who is the recipient of the Nardina Trotta Scholarship. Carmelo, would you come forward?
Hi, I'm Carmelo Mattioli. I'm a winner of the Neri Trotta Scholarship Award here at the Sons of Italy. I would like to thank my grandparents, my Nana and Papa, Gianna Sibilia and Joe Sibilia, for them, the world, teaching me how to cook and how to do things just in everyday life. It's an amazing thing.
Hello, good evening. I would like to thank Anthony Izzo and the fellow members of Lodge for this award. I will be visiting the University of New Haven with Douglas, which is awesome. I didn't even know that. That's great. Another friend that I will know. Also proud of Italy. I'm looking forward to visiting the campus there and learning about my heritage.
Take two.
And I have to tell you, if it's these individuals here, these children, these students, I think we're going to be in good hand. Give them a round of applause. Absolutely. Very impressive, very impressive. I truly mean it. And also, what I'm impressed going around since I became state president and attending a lot of these scholarship is the generosity. The generosity that comes from all our members throughout the entire state and the Order of Sons of Italy in America. At our June 10th scholarships at the state, we gave over $90,000 away. And between all the lodges that we visit, I've been visiting over the last month, and what we get on our reports, you know, we give out almost $200,000 a year in scholarships through all our various lodges. So as members in the Order, you should all be congratulated. So let's give you a round of applause.
Congratulations to all of our recipients, to parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody affiliated or involved with the family who had anything at all to do with the beautiful students that we've just heard from. Good luck to all of you, and that concludes our program. There'll be a photo op.